been outside the US before now, but she joins us. You've just basically arrived for the first time outside America.
Love it. It's fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. So you've traveled here for what reason? Just tell us.
Well, I've always wanted to see London, but really I wanted to make the trip and sort of speak the wishes and thoughts and sentiments of my father, and hopefully, you know, get a message to my sister that, well, things aren't really what they've seen. There's so much misperception, and hopefully we could clear up record and move forward with peaceful resolve.
Understood. And your father is Thomas, and just tell us why you think Meghan hasn't been in touch with him since the wedding.
Honestly, I think, well, you know, but if you can imagine, this media madness has been quite overwhelming, and media is quite powerful. And so when you take something as powerful as that goes around the world at lightning speed, larger than life, whether you say nothing or you say something, it's almost always twisted, we've experienced, for negative effect to self-publication. I think it's been quite hurtful to our family. I can't imagine how hurtful it's been to my sister. But so much of reality has been twisted, is unknown, and it's unfortunate. So
I suppose the thing that went wrong for Thomas Markle, your father, was when he posed for those photos and people thought they were real, but they were just posed, and he took money. That's the photo of him having his wedding suit fitted and him reading about castles and all that. Was that a mistake?
Actually, he wasn't being fitted for a wedding suit. He was being, because he wears rather large hoodies, he was having someone, and those were not fake, he was having someone fit him for sweat jackets, because he's, you know, he orders larger jackets.
Well, him reading about castles, that was took money for that, right?
But not very much, and the logic behind that really is that, you know, I became so tired of him being purposely photographed in such a hurtful way, in a disparaging way. I said, you know, you have a right, like a business card, to defend yourself and have the world and the British royal family see you as you accurately are. Don't lay down and let them disparage you like that. And so with regards to the money and this idea of cashing in, he was turning down $50,000 interviews. So clearly money was not the goal. And the small amount of money that he received, £1,500, the photographers made the money, not my father.
Do you regret?
It was never.
I know you've said that it was your idea that he posed for these photos that got him into so much trouble. Do you regret that?
I would regret more allowing paparazzi to continually make him look like a horrible slob and do everything they could to disparage him. It felt really wrong to allow that to continue. Because I love him, I said, you cannot let yourself be seen like this, and as a representation of who you are. That was wrong.
Did he have a heart attack before the wedding?
He had two, actually, one earlier, and I think because of the pressure of the wedding, he really wanted to be there. He had a speech planned. He was really looking forward to it, and the doctors finally said, you can't ignore this. I mean, he was literally working his speech up to the last minute.
So obviously he couldn't be there on the day. It just seemed, looking at it, that someone had given him this silly idea of posing for photos and taking money. He went with your advice on that. He then got into all kinds of trouble. He got into a terribly stressful situation and then ends up having a heart attack.
Well, he had had one earlier, and really what I think, like so many men, was avoiding some of the signs, you know, the stress, the shortness of breath, pins and needles. He really wasn't up to par, but because he wanted to be at the wedding, he ignored the signs. Even though the doctor said you'd had a small one earlier, I think he was in denial. He wanted to be tough and brave it, be able to walk my sister down the aisle, so unfortunately he let it go too.
Okay, yep, he missed that. You don't blame yourself for mishandling that?
I don't see what the other option would be, because no matter what, I found that certain publications will make you look as bad as they can, and I think it really reflected poorly on everyone. I couldn't let that continue.
Now, Meghan is, as we know, is your younger sister, Samantha, stepsister. You feel she's frozen you out, is that right?
Well, she's not my stepsister, she's my blood half-sister.
Okay, half-sister,
I think it's really funny the Kardashians don't call each other half anything, even though they have...
Well, let's say sister, that's fine, you've got the same father. Yeah. You feel she's frozen you out?
I think that perhaps she was hurt. I mean, I felt like she should know better than to believe tabloids, but I think, quite frankly, she probably believed what she was seeing as well. And I guess there's also protocol that you say nothing, so I think that snowballed, unfortunately, to a lot of hurt feelings on everyone's part, and I'm hoping that we can have a happy ending.
Could it be because you called her Dutch ass?
That was, and I do regret that.
Am I pronouncing that right, Dutch ass? Or
yes, my...
Dutch ass, maybe.
Well, I worked in broadcasting and radio and for a while, and I've always been a bit boisterous. But I think I said that at a point which it seemed inescapable. There was no return. It seemed as though...
So you shouldn't have said it?
Yes, but it was more lashing...
Did you apologize for it?
To my sister, absolutely.
You apologized to your sister?
Yes, and to Harry as well.
But you didn't at the time, did you?
No, I was really lashing out at media because I felt that no matter what we said, everything I said in the beginning was favorable. Nobody printed that. And when I said nothing, they created stories. And it was really just, it had run amok. And I felt
all right, because it may be the stories are fueled by you, Samantha. You said fake waves and smiles can stop. The Dutch ass can bow to the daddy. On Harry's birthday, you tweeted a picture of a hamster as you macked down on your birthday cake. Here it is. As you mack down on your birthday cake, think about the birthday wishes you never extended to your father-in-law. It's quite aggressive, isn't it?
It was meant to be funny, and I thought the picture was cute. Someone said, oh, you're suggesting that Harry looks like a hamster. Well, he's quite handsome. I would never say he looks like a hamster.
Yeah, meant to be funny, but hurtful. You specialize in helping people with mental health problems. So you know that what one person means to be funny is very hurtful, destructive to another. Don't you?
It was meant to be light, but at that point I'd felt like, the bottom line is you should reach out to Dad. There's no excuse for continuing and ignoring. And I felt like, the British people, anyone who has brothers or sisters would understand. You might not always agree with what is going on, so you don't generally disagree or agree with
I'm struggling here because I can't see how, if you've got a disagreement with somebody, you take it out on her on Twitter. You described her as Princess Pushy, but you haven't spoken to her for 10 years.
No, and that's not true either. It was 3 years ago, contrary to public assumption.
You dubbed her narcissistic and selfish.
And did anyone see me say those words? Who dubbed her narcissistic and selfish?
These are your tweets.
No, that was not a tweet. Well, the Princess Pushy.
Duchess of Nonsense.
The Duchess of Nonsense, I did say, but only at a point at which the media madness had gone so far.
Your book was going to be called, what, The Diary of Princess
Pushy.
Right, okay, so you used the phrase.
And there was
There
was a Princess Pushy in history. The title of my book was meant to make a mockery of social labels because she had been coined the Princess Pushy. Those were not my words. And so when I wrote this book, I thought it would be clever, unfortunately it backfired, to show in my book that the content is opposite the title.
Well, look, what I'm driving at here, you have insulted Meghan so much, your sister, including blaming her for her father's death while he's still alive. She would be well advised to pull up the drawbridge on the royal castles, wouldn't she, Samantha, and not see you? But
I wonder how you would feel. Is it more insulting that people respond to feeling disregard and feeling ignored, or is it best that everyone just continues saying nothing? So I thought, in the beginning, when we spoke publicly, I thought that we were being open-hearted and even favorable, and that fell on deaf ears, and the media turned it into something that it was not. So when
the media aren't to blame, because it's consistently rude, isn't it? Your public messaging, calling her Cruella de Vil. We've been through it all. Why do it all publicly? That's what I don't understand. I've got a brother. I mean, we're great friends. If I fall out with him, there are lots of ways. I can send him a letter. He may not open it. I can call it. What I'm not going to do is tweet insults at him, because then he won't talk to me. Isn't that how we all work with each other?
What was going on that didn't make sense is that I really started to feel protective over our father.
But why insult her? I don't understand.
Because he was being purposely ignored.
Sure, but how does it help him to alienate Meghan? I don't understand. Help me understand.
We were hoping that private channels would be used.
They're not being used.
When they failed, we went public.
So, yeah, well, but help me understand. Okay.
The goal at that point wasn't just getting closer, because it was also about bringing out a very important point that you don't isolate family. You are a humanitarian, and I believed all of those things about her. But
you want to shame her? That's what it is.
No, ignoring family, though, is not the way to
But you want to shame her, don't you?
I wanted to point out that it wasn't a function of family ignoring or disrespecting her, that there was a lot going on. Perhaps it was British royal protocol, that you say nothing, but the public were making a mockery out of the family, and I felt like it had to stop.
All right.
So perhaps I was frustrated. I was lashing out more at the media.
But just on your dad, I don't know what your dad thinks, and I haven't seen very much from him. He might be mortified by seeing this fight between you and Meghan, or rather one-sided fight. Has he actually rung you up at all and said, can you cut it out?
I speak to him 3 times a day. And
sure. He says, go ahead and insult her.
We don't look at it as an insult.
Cruella de Vil, Duchess of... What is it? Duchess of Nonsense?
I'm a bit of a quick wit, but I will say that, I think most people within your families, you get to the point where you speak fondly and politely, but then you get to the point where you say, hey, what's up with this? This was not right. And you get
not
very
on Twitter, Samantha. Not on... If you fall out with your family, you don't do it on Twitter. I don't know why you've done it this way. Now, how are you going to see Meghan in London, given that she doesn't want to see you?
Well, I was hoping that maybe we would have the chance to speak, that she would know I was here, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, it might. She might well be watching. You went down to Buckingham Palace yesterday, okay? Could you signal, or you were just outside? Mm. Did you have any way of telling her you were outside?
No, but
What would your message be for her now if she's watching? It says clear out all the stuff that's happened before and just assume you're her sister, half-sister, whatever. She's watching now, let's say, and you can say something to her.
I would just say that there is so much water under the bridge, and so much has spun out of control that was never intended to. And, I think everybody was hurt not being included or invited to the wedding. But I felt as though it could have all been nipped in the bud had everyone been included, and we all just agreed to move forward with positive resolve, and the hurt feelings wouldn't have snowballed. But believe it or not, it doesn't mean that we love you any less. I just think that families can be this way when there's confusion and when people are hurt. So moving forward, I apologize, and I wish things could be different.
If she agreed to meet you, could she trust that you'd keep it private?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't go and do a big interview with CNN afterwards and say, she said this and I said that, or no? So you'd go back into that family thing. And would you then try and get your dad over here, or would you think that Meghan should go over and see him over there?
I'd love for him to come here. And I was feeling at the wedding, though, too. I was hoping they would whisk him, over on a private plane, but I think perhaps they were also concerned with his health. If things had gone differently, I think it would have been better for his health, and certainly better for her as well.
You believe that they hurt him, that the royal family hurt him in some way?
I don't think it was intentionally. I just think they didn't really understand what was going on. And so it had a horrible reciprocal effect. And there was no way to communicate. There was this huge media wall and protocol. So the hurt feelings continued.
And we should, without referring to hamsters, have you got any message for Harry?
He is, such a gentleman and so savvy, and I would say that, she has found her prince. And as my little sister, and being older, I would think, when I get older and when I pass away, you wonder, will your kids and your younger siblings be left in good hands? Well, I'm only thankful that she's in very good hands, so couldn't ask for more.
If we look at a little bit of just Meghan's past and how well she's done, she shot to fame through her acting, and I guess, I don't know, we've got some pictures of Suits here, but that was the thing that made her pretty famous in the UK. So now I just wonder for you, Samantha, and here I'm sort of asking you to be really honest with us. When you watched her in this, were you consumed with jealousy?
Jealousy is a strange, I hear that and it doesn't really make sense. I'm so much older than she is. I had my opportunities, I made my choices, and you love your siblings, you know, you want them to do well. So,
and then we saw obviously her life then gets even bigger, and she's with Harry at the Invictus Games, and I'm just guessing that for you, watching this from a distance, however you're feeling, it's probably quite a difficult thing. Your sister's being shared, she's elsewhere, she's not speaking to you. Did you find that very difficult?
No, I was more hurt for my father. I think I was a bit brokenhearted at the way things turned out. But we were a television family, so when people say, you know, it seems larger than life, and no, because at the end of the day, people are people, and that's the way I've always seen it. So as long as, you know, she's happy, then that's what we wanted. And all of the other, you know, the bells and the whistles and, you know, the royal status, with all due respect, is wonderful, but you want people to be happy simply, and that's what we looked at.
Are you worried about your dad's health now?
Yeah. Because
how long are you talking that maybe he might not be with us for that much longer? Is that the worry here?
Well, he's 74, and so, you know, there was a lot of public mucking about suggesting that, you know, he'd faked a heart attack, and what was he doing eating KFC if he'd had a heart attack? Well, that was for someone else, and I don't think many people know that if you have a heart attack, it's not an invasive procedure. They go up your leg, they plant stents in the heart, but the damage that was done to the heart will always be there. His breathing is challenged, and all things considered, I think, you know, our days are always numbered, but his perhaps more so.
Have the palace asked you to stop talking?
Nobody ever asked me to stop talking. And
Prince Harry got on the phone to Thomas before the wedding, did he? Or
he simply, it's my understanding that what was said was more of, you know, an overview of the media will eat you alive, but we didn't have the experience or the coaching to know what that entailed. And so I had worked in broadcasting. I thought, oh, I can handle anything. Oh, it's, you know, but I had no idea. Right. That when you don't say something, they create stories. When you do say something, they twist it. It's quite negative, and I would say 98% of what was said were not my words or my father's.
Right.
Unbelievably.
Let's